My name is Lisa Feistec, and I'm the owner of Get Loose Tea. So Get Loose Tea is a loose leaf tea company, and I started the company back in 2010. I designed that line of teas keeping in mind that people will only drink what they like, and I was very conscious of my competitors' teas having a lot of sugar additives and flavoring in them, so I was really set on getting educated and sourcing teas that I could blend that included no sugar, additives, or flavorings. I might want to share with you why I actually got into tea and then started a company, and that was on the heels of my own health issues, a trauma in my life, an unexpected trauma, and as I've learned that life throws us curveballs and we never know when they're coming. I was in the car business for 17 years. I also owned a bed and breakfast out on Cape Cod for 8 years. And life was going along pretty well. I always considered myself to be really healthy. And I was working and I got a phone call that my mother had taken her life. And that changed my trajectory forever. Immediately following that trauma and crisis, I became physically ill. Besides being challenged emotionally and psychologically, I exhibited physical symptoms that were magnified with digestive issues, stress, anxiety, and I would go to doctors who were trying to treat me continually with medications, and they were diagnosing me with all kinds of disorders. And intuitively, I knew that I had just gone through something that I hope to help other people through, that I don't think any doctor was going to help me. And I needed to get grounded again and begin to heal myself. So I decided to do some R&R, and I went down to Florida, and I decided to lay low for a few months, and I met a woman there who said that all of my symptoms, that she could help me with tea. And I thought, well, gosh, I got nothing to lose. And that seemed pretty gentle. Previous to that, I should preface that I had spent time in numerous hospitals who were diagnosing me with IBS. They were diagnosing me with anxiety disorders. They were diagnosing me with all kinds of things, and they wanted to distribute medications to me. And I took those medications, and I was well advised to take the medications as a way to begin the healing process. So I don't ever want to advocate for somebody not to take medications, but what I knew is that those would begin to at least give my body a chance to sort of settle down so that I could then apply some natural healing tactics. And this woman introduced me to tea, and she said, you've got to start drinking some green and white tea to begin to give your body some antioxidants, relieve your digestive system, relax your body, mind, and spirit. And I ran out to the store and I bought all kinds of teas on the tea store shelf, and they were awful and they tasted terrible, and every green tea I tried I didn't like. And I went back to her and I said, this isn't working, and she said, oh no, you can't be drinking that bag tea that you find on the store shelves. You need to try some real tea. And I was not ignorant, but I was a little naive to the tea world, and I didn't understand what loose leaf teas were, the difference. And she gave me a little education. She told me where to buy these teas, and I purchased them, and literally within 60 days, my physical symptoms began to lessen. I was breathing again, my anxiety was going down, my headaches were going away. The hospitals were calling me up saying, you need to come in for a checkup. And I'm thinking, no, I'm feeling pretty good. And I was then able to deal with some of my emotional issues, because when a person is in a state of physical, emotional, psychological, I would call inflammation, it's hard to decide what issue to address first. And so I discovered that we have to give people physical relief, because when you're in pain, it's hard to deal with anything else. So having gotten some relief on my digestive issues, I was able to then begin to deal with some of the emotional trauma that I could never have understood having not gone through it. The gift behind all of this was that I began to become a much more compassionate person towards people who would exhibit similar issues and symptoms that I never had. But I would often hear people talk of a trauma in their life, that whatever that was the beginning of a lot of manifested physical symptoms. So as I was healing myself, I began to share this journey with friends and family, and they started drinking all my tea. So I thought, you can't keep drinking my tea. You have to buy the tea. And I was becoming very passionate about it. I also at the time want to share something that's very important to me, that I also knew that I was so heartbroken on what happened to me. My mother and I were extremely close. I never saw it coming. I never understood the topic that is taboo, suicide. That's my story, but I have other people have stories of very difficult traumas. We get repressed when we have traumas in society. It's very, some topics, child abuse, suicide, the loss of a child, people want to run to the other corner because they don't know how to talk about it. I'm a magnet to those people today because I now have the gift of knowing what it likes to feel that alone. And I love to share my journey with people of tea healing, because the thing that I had in those days that was so alone was a cup of tea that I could hold close to my heart. And I could feel that warmth where I could feel it nowhere else. And I could just own that. And one cup of tea at a time is what I share with people today. And the blessing in my life 7 years later is how many people come back to me and hug me and say, you helped me so much. I'm not a doctor, but if I could offer you something that you could feel safe with and that you could begin to intuitively know that tea is healing. You don't have to know everything about it. We just start with 1 cup. I also at the time said, if I'm going to start another company, which people were encouraging me to start a tea company, I wanted to give back. And I made a commitment to have the foundation of my company give back to something. And at the time, in my healing process, as a lot of people, I was drawn to animals because I was so shut down emotionally that it was very hard for me to show emotion towards human beings. But animals opened me up. And I was reading a story about the elephant crisis. And I had no idea that elephants were being poached for their ivory. And what would happen was, when adult elephants are poached, their children are left behind, their babies, and the babies will die if they're not saved or taken in by another family. And I could identify with this. Even as a grown woman, I felt that absolute emptiness of having a parent just gone in my life. And I talk to a lot of adults now that will share that with me. And they, as adults, you feel funny saying, I felt like such a lost child because I lost a parent. And so I made a commitment to give 10% of my proceeds back to elephant organizations that are tirelessly working to save these elephants from the ivory trade. And I've been doing that for 7 years, and so that's one gift of my company. The other gift is that I have people come to me all the time who may be suffering from a trauma. They may be suffering from a physical illness of digestive. Mine was all digestive and stress. I have people that are highly anxiety ridden. And I don't claim to have all the answers. What I do know is I can share my story with you. And when I began to drink my tea, my green teas, my white teas, I grew into learning about herbal blends. I began to study. It became a passion for me because I began to get well. And I didn't need to go back to the hospital. I didn't need to go to doctors. Now, not to say that I don't do a regular checkup like we should, but the gift that was given to me by one woman saying, I think I can help you, and I'm being open to it, I try to give back. And to this day, my vision has been to help people who are always giving to other people. So why I'm in this environment with Plane Tree is that what I recognized is that people who are caregivers tend to give themselves away, and they don't often know how to nurture themselves, or they think they're running all the time. They're type A, they're going, and I tell people who come to me, if you could just take 10 minutes out for yourself, you're going to have more to give. And I can show you how to do that with a cup of tea, because a cup of tea takes 3 minutes to make. It's not hard, it's not magic, but once you start doing it and you feel that gift of giving to yourself, you're going to be able to share it with someone else who's maybe going through a difficult time or just having fun, because we need to laugh. And you can share that with somebody else, tea time. So people started being drawn to this, and people come back and say, I started sharing with my coworker, or I bring it into the family. And my gift was to see people actually incorporating this as a lifestyle. So 1 cup of tea, I can help you with a headache. I can give you tips on how to help a stomach problem. I can give you tips on how to address a cold. But to get the true benefits is making a commitment. And I will share, this is so important for me. When I was so depressed and so anxiety ridden, and I know millions of people feel this way, you feel there's going to be no hope. And when that woman looked at me and said, I could help you, I believed her. And I took that tea and I owned it, because I wanted to live and I wanted to be well again. And I say to people, you have to make the commitment. People who make a commitment to a tea life journey, science will prove it, they are less stressed, they have less anxiety, they have less digestive issues, they have less inflammation, they're more creative, they're more alert, they don't get tired. And I'm not necessarily talking about all teas that are caffeinated either. We have an herbal line of teas. The passion that I have to help people only could come through my own trauma. And I see people all around me doing other things, whatever their gifts are. But I do believe in the spiritual path, that if we are open to taking something that was really agonizing for us and letting the universe teach us how we could give back through that. That's what I hope to do with people who are giving and giving and giving in hospital environments. They're worn out, they're exhausted. I have people come back to me through the Plane Tree organization, I take tea time now. I go to the lunchroom and I have my tea and I have my basket, and thank you so much for doing that for me. That's a simple thing that I can do. And the rest is up to you. So that's my story, and I thank you for letting me share it. So we are getloosetea.com, and I have some people say to me, they come to us, say, do you have something that can help me get loose? Because believe it or not, we do have teas for constipation. But I share with you, it's getloosetea.com. We are about loose leaf tea, but we also, our tagline is, we take tea seriously, but never take anything too seriously. So we want you to get loose, have some fun, enjoy the tea, share it, and that's how you can find us.